Hello, everyone. Welcome back to Dakota's Political Circle. And I really wanted to talk about this today with you guys. It just happened recently. So this was yesterday, based on when the video was posted. That I'm posting it right now. So basically, a terrorist attack happened in New Orleans yesterday. Like before the Sugar Bowl, and some people got killed, and it was suspected that a terrorist that was inspired by ISIS basically decided to kill people, and it's really really horrible. And I'll talk about first of all what exactly happened, who was involved, who was the person that did it, and all sorts of stuff like that. And I'll also be talking about why I think the Muslim travel ban should be put back into place, like how Trump had it for many many years before until Joe Biden took it away. And remember, this is Joe Biden's America right now. This stuff is happening because of Joe Biden. If he would have had that Muslim travel ban, quite possibly this guy might have been stopped. You never know. But let me read up on it with you guys first. So, an army veteran who was hell bent on killing as many people as possible drove into a rented pickup truck around a parked police car, serving as a barricade plowed through a crowd of New Year's revelers on Bourbon Street in New Orleans. So it was in New Orleans, leaving at least 15 dead and injuring dozens of others early Wednesday. After mowing down numerous people over a 3-block stretch on the famed thoroughfare while firing shots into the crowd, the suspect was identified as Shashmood Din Jabbar. Allegedly got out of his truck wielding an assault rifle, opened fire on police officers. Law officers briefed on the incident. Officers returned fire, and he did get killed. And actually, he was a U.S.-born citizen. I just want to say that he was a U.S.-born citizen, but he was a believer in ISIS and Muslim majority things. Like, he was a lot of things like that. Now, he was born in the U.S. That is a little bit different, but I do still think the Muslim ban should be enacted because of this stuff. And also, we should put big restrictions on people that believe in religion when it comes to that portion of the country. I mean, that portion of the religion spectrum. It says, we do not believe that Jabbar was solely responsible, which is probably true. It's probably an act of terrorism, just like I said. It's probably, like I said, the Muslim majority countries. These countries have a lot of terrorism, and then they bring it to the U.S. Now, obviously, this guy was U.S. born, but it does say that he did not, most likely did not act alone. And it says, we are running down every lead, including those of his known associates. We are asking if anybody has interaction with him in the last 72 hours, addressing what this is as a heinous act. President Biden said and told him mere hours before the attack, posted videos on social media indicating that he's inspired by ISIS, expressing a desire to kill. So he was inspired by ISIS, and he is technically, Muslim majority. He was born in the U.S., though. But it says Biden also said law enforcement and the intelligence community was investigating whether any possible connection between it. And also there was an explosion of a Tesla Cybertruck as well at Trump's hotel. So I'm going to say that it's quite possible that this was an act of terrorism. And then Biden talked about it more, that he's going to brief the FBI. The suspect is also talking about ISIS. I also heard talking about ISIS, which I told you. A separate source, and yeah, it doesn't really talk too much else. Yeah, in addition to an assault rifle, he was armed with a handgun. Yeah, and then the Cybertruck exploded in Las Vegas. That was also a big thing that happened. It was right next to Trump Tower. And then there was autopsy reports. Not talking about too much. It's just talking about next of kin and stuff like that. But it's not talking about. But it is investigated as a terrorist attack. They are investigating it as a terrorist attack, which makes a lot of sense because he wasn't the only accomplice in this, and at the same time the Tesla Cybertruck blew up right next to Trump Tower, probably making a statement, and all stuff like that, like just so much crazy stuff. And yeah, horrific act of violence. Uh, and it says, like, I guess the truck was rented through an app. Most likely that's the reason behind that. But it doesn't talk about too much more. But I did want to talk to you guys about that, and I just want to say that I think this is a big reason why the Muslim majority travel ban should be reenacted. He was born in the U.S. I will say that, but at the same time, when it comes to Muslims and people like this, they need to be severely looked at because their countries inspire people like this. Like this guy was inspired by ISIS, which he is a U.S. born citizen, but at the same time, he is ethnically Muslim. Like he is Muslim. So it just makes you scratch your head at why people are doing this, and it's just crazy to think about. So I think the best thing to do is to start, looking at people more directly. I don't want to sound like crazy here, but it's good to look at people more directly when it comes to them believing in the Muslim religion, being Muslim in general. It's just something you just have to look at now in this time, in this day and age, because all this stuff keeps happening. And in an act of terrorism that was next to Trump Tower, you have a bunch of people getting killed in New Orleans. This isn't about the guns. This is about an act of terrorism. I know Democrats are going to spin it some way and say, "Oh, it's not because he was Muslim. It's not because of this. Not because of that. It's because he had an assault weapon." No, he like literally people died. They got ran over. They died, and also people next to Trump Tower could have got killed. Like blowing up so much stuff. Like, I mean, it is an act of terrorism. It's a literal act of terrorism. And I just wanted to bring up the Muslim travel ban because I think that would really, really help out in the long run. Even though that guy was U.S. born, I do think he did have accomplices. So most likely those accomplices were not U.S. born, and it's quite possible he was inspired by ISIS. He probably was talking to people with ISIS. So that's a big reason why we need this travel ban. It's just needed. You need to like ban certain countries from coming to the U.S. At least for a significant amount of time before their threat is neutralized. We needed to take away ISIS, take away lots of terrorist groups before we even allow countries like that back in the U.S. I know a lot of people are against the ban, but I'll show you exactly why I think it's needed. So this is what the ban was about, kind of, the Muslim travel ban. So Trump did sign it in 2017, which was labeled as the Muslim ban. It temporarily suspended entry into the U.S. of 7 Muslim majority countries: Iran, Iraq, Libya, Somalia, Sudan, Syria, and Yemen for 90 days. Indefinitely banned Syrian refugees and suspended the U.S. refugee admission program for 120 days. Now, it had legal challenges. That's the one big thing here. Had a lot of legal challenges, but luckily it got upheld in the Supreme Court. Now, effects of the individuals. The ban caused chaos at airports, which that's the one bad thing, with people being detained or turned away, leading to widespread protests. It separated families and all sorts of stuff like that. Yeah, that was a bad thing. But at the same time, if you put it in advance, I don't see an issue with it. I mean, there was family separation. That's a really bad thing. That should never happen. An economic and social impact. The ban was criticized by the U.S. economy because because of sectors in education and tourism, which isn't too crazy. And then they expanded it in 2020 to include Nigeria, Myanmar, Kyrgyzstan, and Eritrea. For further limiting immigration to the country, which I think if your country's very high on terrorist activities, I think you should not be allowed in the U.S., which makes a lot of sense. But Biden decided to reverse all of it when he got into office. So in 2021, President Biden revoked the ban, although the effects, including the backlog of visa applications, were not immediately undone. Advocates pushed for more actions to address the damage done. But Biden did reverse it. Now, there was a controversy, the ban was highly controversial, seen by many as discriminatory against Muslims. Despite the administration's claims of national security, it led to a polarized public opinion. That's the only iffy thing when it comes to that ban. But I do think in the long run, this ban will help a lot. I think this ban could help a lot, especially with terrorist activities. We need to ban travel from Muslim majority countries, and we need to ban travel from terrorist activity countries. It's just something we have to do. It's not because, oh, we hate people that, look like terrorists. It's not because of that. It's because people from those countries, there's good people from those countries, guaranteed, but there's also lots of active terrorism against the United States. And I think we need to address that, put a ban on, just like we did before, and so stuff like this doesn't happen. It's just a thing we have to do. I mean, with something like this happening now, I mean, I completely understand he was U.S. born, but at the same time, he was inspired by ISIS, and he didn't work alone. So not working alone, it just shows that he probably had a lot of talk with people that were outside the country. So I think it's a big issue, and I think implementing the travel ban back in would be a great move by Trump. I'm not sure if he's going to put it in yet or so. I would think so, only because he never took it out. He always kept it in, and Biden's the one that actually took it out. So we'll see how that goes. I just want to talk about it with you guys. I don't want this video to come off as like, oh, racist and stuff like that. It's not like that. I'm just trying to specify that Muslim majority countries are very big with terrorist activity. And if you do not want terrorism in the United States, it's best to ban people from coming to the United States from those countries, at least until the terrorism has gone down significantly. I mean, it's just a precaution, it's a good precaution to take. And also, we need to take more precautions in the United States when it comes to Muslims that have, traveled here. You need to take precautions regardless, because when acts of terrorism like that happen, you absolutely need to do it. And when it comes from Muslim majority countries, I mean, most of the time, it's good to take a precaution. But anyway, guys, let me know in the comments what you guys think. I'm not trying to make this video come off as a racist type video. I don't feel like that at all. I just think it's the best precautionary measure we can take. And I know people in the comments will come at me and say, oh, he was U.S. born. I agree, but remember, he did not act alone. He didn't act alone. That's the big thing here. He probably had communications with people outside the U.S., most likely from Muslim majority countries, pushing a narrative inside of him. So I think that it's best to get that ban sorted out and have more national security so that we don't have communication with those Muslim majority countries when it comes to people in the U.S. Because he was probably he probably talked to people about it outside the U.S. and it probably made him think that, the U.S. is bad. U.S. is bad. Even though he was a military veteran, it's very surprising. But as a veteran as well, you got to remember that people, depending on how you were as a veteran, sometimes you go crazy and stuff like this can happen, especially if you get stuff put into your head. So you just never know. But anyway, guys, I just wanted to talk to you guys about this today. Let me know in the comments how you guys feel about it. I'll let you guys know how I feel about it, because I couldn't think of anything else to talk about today. Since this horrible thing happened, I really just wanted to talk about it anyway, just to give you guys my opinion and stuff. But anyway, guys, I hope you guys enjoyed. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Bye, guys.